So we are live, Walter, and welcome everyone who's joining us, either on the call or via Facebook, because that's up and running now. So if you don't know me, my name is Richard. I'm from the Travel Industry Hub, which is a co-working space and event and meeting space in Sydney that we are opening around the time of COVID-19. And so what we're doing is bringing the events that we wanted to bring there onto an online format, and we've done several of these so far, and this is the latest one. And we're introducing some products that kind of take us away from some of the realities of life, and this is a perfect one today because I'm joined by Walter. You're allowed to say hello now, Walter.
Hi everyone, how are you?
And because it's not something I know a huge amount about, and I was chatting with Walter about it the other day, and we thought this would be a nice thing to talk about because, number one, it's something that many people won't know a detailed amount about, and we're going to go into that in a moment. But also, it's pleasant. It's just a nice thing to learn about. So we've got several people in the call. Let's get started. So, Walter, I'm assuming everyone knows you, but we never want to make those assumptions like that. So let's just quickly go over who you are.
Perfect, yeah. So I've been involved in the travel industry for 30-something odd years. I actually opened up a travel agency in London a long time ago when I was traveling. My background was actually in finance, and I kept doing these contracts in the UK, taking time off, going traveling, coming back. And then one day I spent 9 months backpacking around India, and came back into London and was like, you know what, I don't want to go back into the corporate suit anymore. I'd rather just enjoy travel. So did my British Airways ticketing course, and decided I didn't really want to work for anyone, so I bought a travel agency. And then within a few days, I realized that I'm still stuck behind a desk. So all I've done is swap my income from a very lucrative one to a really not a great one.
And you're still here today, and that's still how it is.
Still here today because then I discovered sales. And then when you're selling travel, it's a whole different ballgame, and working for wholesalers, suppliers, it just became so much fun, which is what I was looking for. So that's what I've been doing for the last 30 years. In the UK, and then in Canada, and in Australia for the last 16 years.
Sure. So Unique Cruises, it's not a brand that most people are familiar with?
No, it's actually very new. I started this last year. I've been involved in the cruise space for about 16 years, particularly in river cruising, and absolutely love river cruising. I love ocean cruising as well, but I certainly have a soft spot for a river cruise. Have been passionately selling that for some very luxury brands for a long time. And then a few years ago, I discovered the luxury barges, and I thought, oh, this is going to be the next evolution of river cruise. So wasn't quite sure what to do with that at the time. And then midway through last year, I started thinking about it a bit more, and just thought, look, most Australians that I've encountered, travel agents and consumers, really don't know anything about the luxury barges, and this is a great opportunity. So I left a job that I absolutely loved, and started two businesses. As you know, Richard, and some of the others will know, I also have the motorcycle touring business as well. So two great passions of mine, and I'm very fortunate that I'm able to divide my time to do justice to both.
So is it just you, this business?
Yes, it is. I've got other people that I consult with, and I outsource a lot of stuff as well. I use Airtasker. I also use Geeks at Home, I have to say, because my computer skills are somewhat limited. And I use Fiverr for some of my work that I need done as well, which is so some great resources online.
And what about, sorry, just from a layman's perspective, if you are getting this content together for the products, who those contacts came to you through your previous roles
yeah, so some through people that I had contact with. There's a company that I wholesale with called European Waterways, who I actually contacted them directly because I absolutely love their product. And we had a long conversation about that. And I had been on one of their barges particularly, which is what really kind of triggered this whole thing. So, yeah. So, and then Belmond, who's some other people watching this may know, have ultra luxury barges there as well. So have a chat with them.
Sure. Okay. So you've sent me a presentation, which I'm going to try and bring up on the screen, which may or may not go wrong. So let's just have a go at that, because and I did flick through the pictures, and it did catch my interest the other day when I saw them. So I went on a river cruise once. I hired a boat with, it wasn't really a barge, with some friends of mine, and yeah, that wasn't quite so. I was about 18 years old, so it doesn't really count in terms of this. This is the absolute opposite of that, isn't it, Walter? It's this is luxury. This is everything done for you.
Absolutely. I don't know, from when we chatted earlier, Richard, that we were talking about your experience on that barge, and that was around London.
It was,
recall,
yeah, and there was. My recollection is just lock after lock after lock,
which is exciting on the first lock. But you were also doing all that yourself too, as I recall. So you're having to actually open those locks.
It's true.
Which is fun on the first one, right?
Yeah. Not on number 19 of the day.
No. Yeah. Well, with the luxury barges, it's certainly not that, because we have a skipper, we have crew on board that do all of that for you. So it is a 5-star luxury experience. So you don't need to, you can just kick back and relax. Now, I know some of the guests on the first couple of days do get excited about helping out with the locks and things like that. So there is provision to be able to do that, observing of course all the rules. But they get tired of that pretty quickly, and they're quite happy to just get back on board.
Sure. So you're going to have to tell me when you want me to move on. So
yeah, let's go to the next slide, just so that we can see where.
Sure. And you also tell me whether it's working. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So,
yeah,
and this is a map of where things operate.
Correct.
And
so
I should have mentioned at the beginning that there will be slides for people, but I think they're fairly big, and probably even on a phone you can get the gist of where this is. But just if you can't, this is a map of Central Europe, and covering every country as west as east as Germany, right down to the south of France there, and even Scotland and Ireland.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give a bit of a visual to say that there are so many opportunities. So I'm currently working with 27 luxury barges in, as you can see there on the screen, 15 different regions across 4 countries. So the majority, as you'll see on the map there, are in France. But we also do have a luxury barge in London on the Thames. So not the same barge that you went on, Richard. We're going quite a lot more up level than that. But also there's 2 barges up in Scotland, going out of Inverness, and in Ireland. We also have one just outside of Dublin, and also 2 in Italy. So coming on the canals beside the Po River.
Sure.
And, yeah. So one of the biggest questions I've been asked lately is, obviously a lot of people know me as being a river cruise expert with the luxury cruises, working previously for APT and for Avalon Waterways, and of course I know the likes of Scenic and Viking and all the rest as part of my job, and have been on pretty much all those, snuck on for some site inspections over the years. The biggest difference would be the actual size of the ships. So most of the river ships that a lot of viewers will be familiar with would cruise down the Rhine, the Danube, all the way from Amsterdam down to Budapest, going on the Saône and the Rhone, down through the south of France, or on the Seine, or on the Moselle rivers as well. So they're stuck to those rivers, and typically they are either 110 meters long or 135 meters long. So anywhere between 120 to 160 people on board. And I have spent the last 16 years on and off promoting these ships, and they are absolutely fantastic. They are still an excellent way to holiday, so I wouldn't want to take away from that at all. What I'm looking at with these luxury barges is just taking that next step, because as you can see from that map, and we talked earlier, these are the places that these other ships can't go to. So when we are looking at these luxury hotel barges, just to give the difference, the smallest barge that I contract with has only got 2 suites. So there's a private charter, just 2 couples on board, or for friends, and take the whole barge, spend a week cruising down one of the rivers. The largest one that I work with actually only has 10 suites, so only 20 people. And that's the one that operates in Italy, going down the Po River. So we start in Venice, and we cruise down next to the Po. But on average, we're looking at 4 suites. Some of them have 6, so 8, 10, 12 passengers on board. So we're not talking about.
Sorry, excuse my laughing. Yeah, you're just reeling out numbers. Anything up to 10, aren't you? I know what you're doing.
That's
9,
right. So very small. So just a couple of families, friends, and you've got the whole ship to yourself. So on some of the smaller barges, they are charter only. But then as we get up to those that have a few more suites on board, you can just book a room just as a single traveller or as a couple. The other thing that I really want to stress on these barges is that they are all inclusive. So all the meals, so breakfast, lunch and dinner is included. The excursions, and because we're only talking about a few people, most of them are very private, exclusive tours, going to wineries, going through some amazing castles and palaces. A couple of my favourite ones really are up in Scotland when we do the whiskey tasting tour coming down through there. Tasting those magnificent Scotch. Also, to all the beverages, including great quality wines, beers, and spirits. So it's not the cheap stuff; it's top shelf stuff. Is all included, and also to pretty much all the majority of the barges have bicycles on board, and they are free of charge. You can just grab a bike, go along the cycleways. And as I've done, just taken a bike, gone along and stopped off and had a couple of schooners in the local pub just to help the local economy, and then caught up with the barge because they travel quite slowly as you go along. And a lot of the barges that I work with now have hot tubs on board as well. So you can just sit back and relax.
A couple of questions that have come through already, Walter. Tina says they're a good size and easy to read. I'm not sure if she must be talking about the slides. And Sarah says she's volunteering to be a product tester. So yeah, these are kind of useless. But Cruising with Honey says, wow, very intimate. How many nights on average?
All the barges will depart on a Sunday and return on the Saturday. So 6 nights, 7 days. And they have the transfers included in the majority of cases as well. So which just makes it like, for example, the one on the Thames from the heart of London will take you out and meet up with a ship. The same up in Scotland and Dublin. In France, depending on exactly which cruise we're going from, a lot of them will hub out of Paris. So you'll be picked up from the location in Paris and then taken down by a private limousine, limousine van, down to join the ship in the afternoon.
Cool. So I've just got a couple of belligerent comments to make. These are for old people, right?
Yeah. Now that's a really good question, because when I first started selling river cruising, the mainstream river cruising, that was the first thing that came up, and all the advertising was aimed towards the older demographic. Over the years, what we've seen is that on mainstream river cruising, that demographic has come down considerably as people got to understand what it was. And what I'm seeing with the barges, I think that we'll follow a similar trend in that it'll be the older demographic that will pick this up initially, but predominantly because that's how travel agents sell it. Because of the price point, because they are a little bit more expensive, obviously, because they're smaller ships. But if we are looking at these in the way that they're intended, which is for anyone, then we will get a much bigger uptake. So certainly not just for the older people, the older demographic.
Gotcha. And then also, could it get boring sitting on the same boat for? I mean, it depends on the scenery, right? And what activities there are around. And could you talk us through a week of a of on your average tour? How much time is there to stop and do things?
Yeah, look, it's again, I was talking to someone just the other day, and they were saying I couldn't think of anything worse than sitting on a barge for a week. Well, you're not sitting on the barge for the week. It's your accommodation and it's your transportation all rolled into one. But you're off the barge every single day.
Let's just jump forward if that's all right. Like, because I could sit on this barge for a week.
Yeah, and this is I sent you these photos so that we could show the viewers, because this is what struck me when I first came across these luxury barges. When I went down to have a look, I was just unbelievably impressed, because from the outside, some of them still look old in the sense of what we think of as a barge, and you just kind of dismiss it a little bit, but then you come and step inside, and yeah, who would not want to sit in this sort of place? We've got to go through the next few slides, Richard, and just give everyone that sense of what it's about, because we are talking about luxury. We are talking about, you know, top shelf wines and spirits, as I said, and oftentimes, particularly when we're in France, from the local region. And yeah, my favorite place, as always, in the hot tub. So you can sit outside, enjoy life going by. In the evening, coming back from spending a day out exploring, and just being able to have a nice glass of champagne while you're sitting in the hot tub. And unlike the bigger river cruises, there might only be 4 or 6 of you on board the ship. So nice place just to kick back and relax.
Yeah. This would be typically for, I sound like I'm doing an advertorial here, but I'm just thinking, about the typical type of setup in terms of the travelers. So they would be an extended family. Would that be the most common, or is it, you know, groups of similar age friends?
Friends.
Okay.
Typically, yeah. But there's also, because there are themed departures as well, or you can theme it yourself. So if you're into golfing, for example, or if you want a particular wine tour, or if you're into the arts, then there are definite themed departures for those. But if you're taking the whole ship as a few friends traveling together, then you can theme that yourself. So if you do want to go and play golf, then we can arrange all of that for you. If you are really into the wines, then we arrange all of that as far as visiting the vineyards and having the sommeliers taking you through the local wine regions. But also if you would like to travel with family, with smaller kids, typically the minimum age is 8 if you are just a passenger on board. But if you have the full charter, then those rules become a bit more flexible, because you actually have full control of the ship, so you can take families. So who would have thought that size room would be on a barge?
That doesn't look like the boat I was on, I can promise you that.
No bunk beds?
No.
Yeah, so this is why I really want to bring barging out through to the Australian market, because it is something that we are missing out on. And while we do get a little bit of business from Australia, nowhere near as much as we could. And simply because people don't know about it. And I remember 16 years ago when I first started selling river cruising, we had that same thing where nobody really knew what a river cruise was. And then suddenly we started getting people on ships and coming back, and travel agents going up and having a look and saying, oh, wow, this is amazing. With these luxury barges, we get into that same evolution of saying, oh my gosh, there are these amazing ships, and they are not going to the same places as your mainstream river cruise companies are.
Mm.
So we're going, completely, as you can see there, look how narrow that waterway is, and that in the background there you can see the bridge that we just came through. So very, very small.
Some questions, Walter.
Yes.
Philip Boniface says, can you stop and park anywhere, or are there designated spots? So I think can you ask to stop anywhere, or is that only at set places?
No, it's pretty flexible because there are a lot of docking options along the way.
Hmm.
So on a set departure, then they do have their schedule. But if you have a private a charter, then you can have a chat to the captain and just say, hey, look, you might be cruising past this amazing pub, and there happens to be a dock outside. Well, you can pull over there and have a have a pint, and then come back on board. Well, even though everything's all included on the ships, I'm not quite sure why you want to do that. But as most of us who have travelled have discovered, sometimes you're just going along and you see these most amazing things, and you just want to stop and have a look. And
no matter what words you use, there's no, there are no words that can take you to the relaxation of being in that environment, is there? When I saw these pictures this morning, I just thought I needed to see this picture. I'm not going very soon, and I won't be able to afford it for a while, but this just looks wonderful, doesn't it? The background and the serenity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I love about it, because like mainstream river cruising, you can choose whether you want to be totally relaxed, or you can get out and really enjoy the countryside. Like I said, you can hop off the barge at pretty much any point and just walk along and then catch up with the barge when it's docked a little bit later. Or you can grab a bicycle, go for a bike ride, go and explore a bit more at your leisure. It's entirely up to you how you want to work it. One of the key differences, and just going back to Philip's question, hi Philip, by the way, is that unlike the mainstream barges, where they do have slots, where you do have to be at a lock at a certain time, and you do have to prepay the docking fee, so it is set on an itinerary. On the barges, it's a bit more flexible. So, again, it's a matter of having a chat to the captain and saying, okay, well, what can we do here? The structure is set to maximize the time on that particular journey for that week, but all of us have different things that we like to do.
Crystal says, are the suites different classes or all the same?
Hi, Crystal. Good question, and it depends on which ship we're on. So for the smaller ones, they tend to be fairly similar. For some of the bigger ones, then you do have a choice of different cabins, but they try to keep them fairly similar in size, because obviously there's only so much space you can have on the barge. But again, it depends on which actual barge we're on.
Yeah, so I mean, let me switch to belligerent travel agent mode. I'm sitting there grumpy in my office, like, why am I selling this? So am I choosing the boats? I'm not. Obviously, if I go to a certain location, the boat is the boat. But do I get information specifically about that boat and what it has?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically, if you contact me at Unique Cruises, and what I'll do is I'll just have a chat with you about what your clients want, what they're looking for. It might be destinational, it might be regional, it might be the ship specific, and then we can have a chat about that and make sure that we've got the right people in the right place.
Lance says, just wondering what the website is for this nice little segue into your promo, but I can see that's the details are up behind you, but it's not that legible. So what is the website for Unique Cruises?
It's uniquecruises.com.au.
Oh, easy. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go, Lance.
And I'm just getting the rates for a few of the barges for 2021. The majority of them are up there, but I'm still waiting for a few more. Because the season starts in April and runs through to October, so pretty much 2020 is out, and I'm getting all the details coming through for next year.
Lance has raised his hand, so I'm just going to try something. I might surprise you here, Lance, but if you're there and you can turn off your mute, you don't have to do the picture, but if you wanted to ask a question, you're more than welcome. I'll leave you there for a moment. And Jenny says, high water, are the payments through Unique Cruises in Australian dollars?
Hi, Jenny. Yes, they are. So I get the wholesale rates that come through in euros, and then I convert that to Australian dollars, so that the Australian travel agents, and I only deal with travel agents, by the way, I don't go direct to the public, and the pricing is all in AUD.
only travel agents. See, so you're supporting the industry. I presume you accept cash as well. Lance, if you're there, now would be a good time if you did have a question, but like I said, I'll leave that there. I also need to check the Facebook page, but Walter, I mean, those are that covers the slides. I thought I'd leave that on there because it looks better than me and you on full screen. But
the last thing I'd mention, Richard, because I know that we are getting up to that half-hour mark.
I've got four more questions actually. So
okay.
Yeah, I do. So let's whiz through them. Okay. Yeah. Lance didn't have a live question to ask. I think I covered it. So Sandra Cahill says, is there a brochure available?
No, I don't have a brochure available as yet, Sandra. Hi, by the way, we'll catch up a bit later.
But
don't have a full brochure available.
You're going to tell people about your webinars, aren't you, in a minute?
Yeah.
We'll come to that at the very end.
Because I'm dealing with a few different companies, I'm trying to get something together. But also, too, part of the sustainability that I'm looking at is having the online brochure. So I'm working on that at the moment. So it's a flip book that will be available online rather than the physical brochure that will be sitting on a travel agent's shelf. So, but I will have some flyers and stuff that will come out to the agents just to, again, I'm working on a much tighter sustainability issue there.
Philip Hancock says, can you share the commission structure? Is that something for today, or is that
no, if somebody wants to talk about commission, I'll talk about that offline. But because this is a bit more, we don't know who will see this, so we can talk about that at a different point.
Good point. And also Philip wants to know when the next Famil trip is. That's another one. So that's
a really good question. Depends on when the world opens up.
Okay,
but it's something that yeah. Look, so I would hope that early next year we might be able to get something away. Now, it'll be a little bit of a different Famil, I have to say, simply because how many people can you fit onto a barge? I'd have to charter the barge. So
some more. I've got more questions. This is quite interactive, isn't it? You're popular. Philip Boniface this time again says, do seasonal water levels affect the cruising? If so, then what are the options?
Good question, Philip. They don't affect the canals quite as much as you do on the mainstream, on the Rhine and on the Danube, just because that's where the bulk of the water comes through. The canals tend to be a lot more controlled in the structure, and the same rules apply. If for some reason you get the sun-seasonal flooding like happened some years ago in the south of France, then we have to deal with that on a case-by-case basis. But typically what happens is that you go into a hotel and it's the same issue. But again, it's a blanket answer because we can only really deal with specifics when it comes down to case-by-case.
Karen McGee also wants to come on the Famil. So that's me, you, Karen, Sarah, and there was one more. There's 5 of us at the moment. How many? Let's have another couple of spots. The next 2 that do say that, that'll be our trip.
Maybe I'll have to charter 4 or 5, and we'll all just carry on down together.
I've lost my. I'm going to end that share. But now I've got. Yeah, we do want to just talk about these webinars. So if anyone wants to find out more, you're able to do webinars with people directly, or even directly to the consumer, can't you?
Absolutely, and this is really for any of the travel agents that are viewing this. I have got a half-an-hour presentation that has been designed for consumers as a webinar. So if you as a travel agent would like to, for me to basically present to your clients, we can do that as a webinar and really get them keyed up and excited to be able to book to travel in 2021. So the webinars are available now. So if anybody wants to book in, really we just need to allocate an hour's time, so half an hour of the presentation and 5 minutes on either side, really just to get prepared, and then obviously for questions. And then your clients can contact you directly. If clients contact me directly, like if they attend one of your webinars, they contact me directly through Unique Cruises, I will always refer them straight back to you. So there's no chance of me taking any clients directly from you guys. I've been in the industry too long, and I know how powerful you guys are and how much you need the business, particularly nowadays. So it's always back to you guys. But certainly, if you want to know about the webinars, just contact me, email me at walter@uniquecruises.com.au, and then we'll be able to schedule something. I'll map it all out. We'll sit down and virtually work that out for you.
Let's just go over that in detail. So it's walter@uniquecruises.com.au. I can see your phone number out behind you. Can I read that out?
Yes, you can.
It's 0424093028. I believe that would bring us to the end. We've reached 30 minutes, which is terrific. So have we covered everything you wanted to, Walter?
Absolutely. And if anybody wants to know anything more, then just contact me directly, and I'll be happy to spend the time with you. The most important message is that people are starting to look. They are starting to question. I saw a great survey that came out the other day that said that travelers were saying it's okay to be contacted now about future trips. So, and I think there was like 73% or something like that. So contact your clients. Let's get them dreaming. Let's get them booking. And then I can afford to charter 5 ships next year, and we can all go up.
Tina, Cheryl, also coming on the Famil. And and Sarah, just a question with Sarah. She says, if you could pick one itinerary as the next hot thing, which one would it be?
Oh gosh, that's a really difficult question.
Come on,
it depends on.
Right now.
But I won't answer that one. I'll answer it slightly differently. The one that I want to do personally, because this is just what I want to do, is going on out of Inverness on the Scottish Highlander doing the whiskey tour. That's my.
Because you're an alcoholic. Is that right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I enjoy my scotch.
Okay, good. Right.
Yeah.
Well, honesty is good.
But sorry, Richard, I'll just say that if you go to my Facebook page, so Unique Cruises Facebook page, what you'll see on there is every week I'm actually posting up a new itinerary. So you can actually follow on a day-to-day basis a particular cruise from Sunday through to Saturday. So if you're wanting a little bit more detail on what you can expect on day-to-day, then have a look at my Facebook page.
Which, for everyone's benefit, should be on the screen now. Simply call. I just simply searched Unique Cruises. It was the first thing that came up, so that's easy enough. And I'm going to like your page.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, that'd be yeah. Oh, I already do. Okay, cool. So, Walter, thank you again for coming. I don't know about everyone else, but I just love a bit of escapism. I didn't realize how much I needed it until I saw your slides actually. Yeah, we'll see you again, because we're going to talk about the and I've lost the page now. Am I still with you? I'm still with you. And we're going to talk about your motorcycle tours on another day, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. But in the meantime, see the picture behind me? That's where we all need to be next year.
Sure. Okay. Well, we've got half a mil sorted out, so that's all we really want. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Richard.
Cheers. Bye-bye. See you soon.